Kalen, can you give us a brief introduction, please?
Yes, my name is Kalen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Invermuda, where we build precision diagnostics for drug-resistant infections.
Awesome. So let's go back a little bit. Let me take you back to when you were thinking about joining the TiE Women Houston Pitch Competition last year. What was it that made you say yes to applying? And what fears or kind of questions did you have when you were going in?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, I think the applications opened up right after I met Amir for the first time after we participated in the Rice Business Plan competition. So we were kind of in the middle of doing kind of the business plan competition circuit, and I met Amir after doing Rice, and he recommended that I apply for the Thai Woman Houston chapter. And I think it kind of seemed like a no-brainer for me to apply. I think that I'd done one other kind of woman-focused program at that time and found it really valuable to work specifically with women mentors who worked in either investment or entrepreneurship. And I think the idea of the pitch competition seemed really exciting to me. And so I think I was really more into it for the mentorship and the experience than the funding. And so and we also were fundraising at the time. So obviously any more exposure you can get when you're fundraising is a great experience that you can't pass up.
Awesome. And, since it's a woman to woman conversation here and it's a safe spot, right? Uh, we overthink a lot of things. And so what was that process in your head? Like, was there any sort of nagging worry or concern or something like that that was, in your mind as you were preparing to pitch?
For the first one or for the global pitch?
You can talk about either one of them.
Yeah, I think for the first pitch, I didn't have too much overthinking or anything. I think I was feeling pretty good with it because I think we were kind of just gotten off of quite a few competitions, had a lot of practice. I had it memorized, basically could say it while brushing my teeth in the morning. And so I think I wasn't super worried about that. I think for the global pitch was definitely a different story because I think I had just landed in India the day before. I was incredibly jet lagged. And it was definitely a very different experience. And I think I kind of acclimating to being halfway across the world and a completely different time zone and also a completely different culture that I never experienced before. And then being put into a pitch competition, I think definitely I wasn't in my high confidence mindset that I usually am when I'm pitching. I think usually I'm a great public speaker and I feel really confident when I'm pitching and speaking in front of a crowd. And I think I felt confident, but not in my usual kind of groove. And so I think that was definitely interesting, kind of being taken completely out of my comfort zone and then having to pitch on top of that at a competition. So I would say that was definitely, but I think it was a good experience. And I think it kind of made me a better presenter and better speaker to kind of have to roll with the punches. And also, I think quite a few, if I'm remembering correctly, quite a few founders had like troubles with their like slides advancing and like their mics working. So I think like, and I also had a little trouble with my mic working. So I think working with stuff like that when the technology and you're not like feeling you're 100%,
Right.
it always kind of like tests you at your limit, you know? It's already difficult to get up there and pitch in front of judges and have a high pressure environment where you're being chosen to represent like a whole city or country and then to have things like messing up in real time and having to not really show it on your face is an interesting and kind of a test.
Totally. Sounds like baptism by fire, Kaylin. You emerged, right? So that was I'm sure there was a lot of learning in that for you, but I understand how challenging it must have been in the moment. So let me ask you this. When we were in the Houston process, right? What was something unexpected, maybe even transformational that you gained from being part of that, pitch in the Houston side of things?
Yeah, I think that so I think at the actual pitch competition, I mean, I think the obvious answer was, Yasmin meeting me afterwards, coming completely kind of unexpectedly approaching me after I gave a 2-minute pitch and asking me kind of more about the company And then us exchanging contact info and her telling me that she was interested in starting angel investing. She wanted to learn more. And I think that that was definitely very unexpected and made a big difference. I mean, her check ended up being what got us to kind of closing the million that we were raising.
Great.
And I think that that was very unexpected. I wasn't necessarily expecting to meet someone who was going to directly write me a check at that pitch competition. And I think on the other hand, the mentoring leading up between like actually getting into the program and then giving the pitch to become the finalist was really great. I think I had numerous women mentors who gave me a lot of hours of the day that I wasn't really expecting. I had one, Mitra Miller, who took
Mhm.
kind of like 2 hours with me and sat me through and went through every single slide of my pitch and gave me pointers on design and like clarity, which I never really had someone do before to that like grueling detail, which was so helpful. And I mean, everyone I talked to was so helpful, and I got something really meaningful out of kind of every interaction I had with a mentor.
That's great, Kaylin. And I know Mitra as well. She is just awesome. And I can totally see her doing that, right? Sitting
Yeah.
down. And she has so much experience. So great shout out from Mitra here. So your business and your pitch clearly impressed the judges here, right? So if you were a judge this year, what would you be looking for in next year's applicants? What do you think they should highlight in their pitches?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that, I mean, really every business is different. It definitely depends on the sector you're in. Obviously, I come from a life sciences background, so I think anything in that clearly showing how you're differentiated and how it's defensible is really important. And I think that also can apply to any sector. So really, what makes you different and how is that defensible long term? And then I think a lot of people focus on kind of like a really big problem. I think for me, when you're like introducing a problem statement, I think focusing on like a very specific use case and a very narrow problem and how you're going to get that first and then you can expand out, I think is my preferred way of approaching it because sometimes it seems a little kind of pie in the sky if you're just saying you're going to automatically capture, every business that does X, Y, and Z. And then I think the third thing is really using yourself or your team as like a key differentiator. So how you are the engine that makes this work and why no one else could do it and why you're the right team to bring this and execute this.
Those are excellent points, Kaylin. Just a quick lightning round here. Give me one word to describe your entire TiE experience.
I would say unique.
And I know I said one word, but now I want to know why.
Okay, so I think unique. So I've done quite a few pitch competitions. I think I've probably done almost a little over 10 at this point. And so
Hmm.
I think that firstly, I think this is the only pitch competition I've done that's only for women founders. And so I think that's very unique. And I think that's one of the things I love the most about it. And I think it's a very important platform to give an underrepresented group that shouldn't be underrepresented in the first place. I mean, women, I think, make up a little more than 50% of the population. So there's no reason for us to
Correct.
be so disproportionately underrepresented as startup founders and to be underrepresented as startup founders who actually get investment. And so that's one portion. And I think also the global element. So moving on to actually be represented on a global stage is very unique in terms of a startup pitch competition. I think this is one of the only few competitions I've seen or come across that actually have that. And I think that comes with a lot of really cool benefits to get to not only be exposed to global investors and global customers, but also to meet global founders and understand kind of to commiserate with people all around the world and also to understand the differences of what other people go through in terms of the kind of starting a startup and the journey that they go on in other places besides the US.
That's great, Kaylin. That I'm sure that I've had this experience where you think you have unique problems, but then you meet other people and you realize actually the bottom line of the challenges is really the same, right? There's a little
Mhm.
bit of customization by country and all of those things, but the inherent challenges remain the same. So I'm glad you got to, like you said, commiserate with other people and kind of form a community with them because that's I'm sure so important. But thank you so much, Kaylin. I think we got some really good tips from you, and I'm sure that people who listen to this are going to get a lot of learning from this conversation.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.